Yankees fans, get ready, because today's updates are going to shake up every conversation in the Bronx. From surprising player decisions to front office drama and the never-ending debate over legacy. This is the kind of day that reminds us why following the Yankees is never boring. So let's jump straight into it, because there's a lot to unpack, and every bit of it could define what comes next for this team. Let's start with the man who quietly became one of the most talked-about figures in the clubhouse, Paul Goldschmidt. When the Yankees brought him in on that one-year, $122.5 million deal, nobody really knew what to expect. Would he still have that fire that made him one of the most consistent hitters in the game? Or would age finally catch up to him? Well, Goldie's answer came loud and clear. He's not done yet. When asked about his plans, he simply said, "I love playing." That's it. No hesitation, no uncertainty. The guy just wants to compete. And that statement alone sent ripples through the Yankees fan base. Because let's be honest, having a veteran like Goldschmidt around for another season could make a world of difference for this team. His performance this year wasn't without its highs and lows. At 38 years old, he went through the grind a long season and still showed flashes of that elite skill set that once earned him a National League Most Valuable Player award. What stood out most wasn't necessarily his power numbers, but how he completely changed his approach at the plate. Goldie dialed back the swing-for-the-fences mentality and went all in on making consistent contact. And it worked, at least for a while. His strikeout rate dropped drastically from more than 26% last year to under 19% this year. That's a massive change for a player known for driving the ball deep. On top of that, he made contact with 86% of pitches in the strike zone, up from just under 80% the previous season. That's not just a statistical improvement, that's a complete transformation of his offensive mindset. Early on, that shift paid huge dividends. Through the end of May, Goldie was batting an incredible .338 with a weighted runs created plus of 148. He was locked in, spraying hits to all fields, driving in runs, and looking like the same hitter who terrorized pitchers a few years ago. But baseball can be cruel. And in June, the slump hit hard. His average plummeted to 143 that month. And suddenly, that confident swing seemed to vanish. From July onward, he managed to stabilize, finding a middle ground between patient and aggressive, but the damage was already done. By season's end, his line sat at 274 with an on-base percentage of 328 and a slugging percentage just over 400. Not terrible, but not exactly what Yankee fans dreamed of when he signed. Statistically speaking, his season was slightly below the league average for first baseman, which certainly sparked debate about his future role. Defensively, he wasn't a standout, but he held his own. A couple of defensive metrics weren't in his favor. -1 defensive run saved and -3 outs above average. Yet his steadiness on the bag was still an upgrade from what the Yankees had the previous season. After Anthony Rizzo's struggles, Goldschmidt's presence brought reliability, if not elite defense. And that steadiness was exactly what this team needed, even if his glove didn't make the highlight reels. What really raised eyebrows was how his role shifted in the postseason. When the Yankees faced the Blue Jays and ultimately got knocked out, Goldie started only 2 of the 6 games. Ben Rice took over much of the action, signaling that perhaps the coaching staff was already preparing for a future without Goldschmidt as an everyday player. That decision might sting for a guy of his stature, but it also might be part of a larger plan, one that recognizes Goldie's evolving role as more of a situational weapon than a full-time starter. Now, here's where things get interesting. Despite the overall decline in his numbers, there's one area where Goldie was nothing short of elite, hitting against left-handed pitching. Against southpaws, he turned back the clock, putting up a jaw-dropping 336 average with a 411 on-base and a 570 slugging percentage. That came with a weighted runs created plus of 169 and a minuscule strikeout rate barely over 11%. Those are numbers that would make any team take notice. Even if he's no longer a full-time star, that kind of production in a platoon role is gold. Literally. So now the big question hanging over Yankee Stadium is this. Should the Yankees consider bringing him back for another season? Maybe not as the everyday first baseman, but as a veteran bat who crushes lefties and provides leadership in the locker room. With free agents like Pete Alonso and Josh Naylor expected to dominate the market, teams that miss out on those names could easily turn to Goldschmidt as a reliable short-term option. The Yankees could benefit from that too, especially if they're looking to balance their lineup without committing long-term money. But this is the Bronx. Nothing ever comes easy. Fans are split right down the middle. Some believe Goldie still has enough juice left in the tank to make a difference. Others think it's time to let the younger guys like Ben Rice get more reps and fully embrace a new era at first base. And honestly, both sides have valid points. Goldie's professionalism, work ethic, and experience are invaluable in a clubhouse chasing another championship. Yet, it's also hard to ignore the natural decline that comes with age. Still, if you're looking at the bigger picture, his ability to adjust, to completely change his approach and still produce at a decent level, says a lot about the kind of player he is. It's rare to see a veteran that late in his career reinvent himself so effectively. It might not have led to an all-star season, but it kept him relevant. And in baseball, longevity is a skill in itself. The Yankees find themselves in an interesting spot now. Their core is still built to win, with Aaron Judge anchoring the lineup and young talent pushing for more playing time. But they also need to balance experience with energy. Goldschmidt sits right in the middle of that equation. He's not the long-term answer, but he might still be part of the short-term solution. Whether that's as a designated hitter, a platoon partner, or even a mentor figure for the younger hitters, there's definitely a case to be made for keeping him around. And let's not forget, the Yankees haven't exactly been spoiled with stability at first base lately. Injuries, inconsistency, and lineup shuffling have been constant issues. Having a veteran who can be counted on to handle the position when needed could be worth more than the stat sheet suggests. At the very least, he brings a steady hand and a presence that helps set the tone. So here we are again, Yankees Nation, facing another offseason full of questions. Paul Goldschmidt has made it clear he's not retiring, not slowing down, and definitely not ready to hang up the spikes. The question now shifts to the front office. Do they believe he still fits in a plan? Do they take one more run with a veteran who knows how to hit under pressure? Or do they close the chapter and move forward with youth and speed? Whatever happens, one thing's for sure. Goldie has earned the right to make teams think twice. His passion for the game, his ability to adapt, and his leadership qualities can't be measured just by numbers. He's the kind of player who keeps the clubhouse grounded, and that's something every team needs, especially one chasing a title drought that's lasted far too long. The fans will debate it all winter long, and honestly, that's part of the beauty of baseball in New York. Every decision feels monumental. Every rumor turns into a headline, and every player, no matter how big or small their role, becomes part of a larger story. Paul Goldschmidt's chapter with the Yankees might not be over yet, and if it isn't, you can bet it'll be one worth watching. All right, Yankees Nation, now let's shift gears because things get even more intense when we talk about the front office and dugout drama. After another crushing early playoff exit, the spotlight inevitably turns to the men running the show. The conversation about Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone has reached a fever pitch, and honestly, it's hard to scroll through any social feed without seeing fans debating whether this is the moment for a full reset. The Yankees roster has plenty of talent. We're talking about stars like Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Max Fried, and Trent Grisham all contributing at high levels. Yet somehow, the team still fell short. The loss to the Blue Jays in the American League Division Series felt like déjà vu. Another reminder that talent alone isn't enough to capture a World Series. Aaron Boone's leadership has been under the microscope all season. Critics are questioning nearly every decision he made, from lineup choices to bullpen management. One of the most glaring examples came during the wild card series when Max Fried was pulled mid-shutout, only for the Yankees to immediately surrender the lead. Moments like that fuel the narrative that Boone's judgment is faltering, even with a roster capable of more. On top of that, his commitment to players struggling at key positions, like sticking with Anthony Volpe despite offensive inconsistencies, has fans scratching their heads. These are the kinds of decisions that define a manager's legacy especially in New York, where the bar is never anything less than a championship. Then there's Brian Cashman, the general manager who's been at the helm through almost a decade of highs and lows. His record with the Yankees has been impressive in some ways, assembling a roster loaded with talent, but the lack of postseason success is impossible to ignore. Fans argue that despite having one of the most stacked lineups in baseball, the team consistently underperforms when it matters most. The question isn't about his ability to sign or trade for stars. It's about whether the overall direction of the team under his management can actually get them over the hump. And after 16 long years without a World Series title, patience is wearing thin. What's fascinating is how fan opinion is split, yet clearly frustrated. Recent polls show that a significant portion of the fan base wants a complete shakeup. 41% of voters believe that both Boone and Cashman should be shown the door, while only about a quarter think the organization should maintain the status quo. Of those who are split, more blame lands on Boone, with many suggesting that the manager is the primary obstacle preventing Aaron Judge and the rest of the roster from reaching their full potential. This isn't just casual chatter. It's a widespread feeling that the leadership needs a fresh perspective, someone who can fully leverage the talent on hand and bring the team across the finish line. It's not just about holding someone accountable. It's about the culture and momentum of the team. Boone's contract status may give him a layer of protection, but fans care less about that than results. When every series in October feels like a do-or-die moment, every misstep magnifies. The Yankees haven't just lost a series or two. They've lost the sense of inevitability that comes with a championship-caliber team. And that's where the calls for change get loudest. People want decisive action, a clean house that sends a message that mediocrity will no longer be tolerated. Yet there's another side to the argument. Some believe that stability is valuable, that a team doesn't rebuild its identity overnight, and that sometimes losses are just the nature of the game. Baseball is unpredictable, and even the best teams stumble. From this perspective, Boone and Cashman are not the problem. The Blue Jays were simply the better team in the playoffs, and roster injuries or unlucky bounces played a huge role. It's a reasonable argument, especially for those who remember the mistakes of hasty decisions in previous seasons. But in the court of public opinion, the argument often doesn't hold weight when the scoreboard tells a disappointing story. The tension between these perspectives is exactly what makes this discussion so captivating. Fans are passionate because they know the potential of the team, and they also know what it feels like to have it slip away. When you combine a roster that includes MVP-caliber players with a long history of championship expectations in New York, the pressure is immense. Every bad call, every questionable lineup, and every bullpen mishap gets dissected with almost surgical precision. Social media, podcasts, and forums light up with theories, predictions, and hot takes the moment a game ends. It's also important to note how much weight the narrative around Aaron Judge carries in this discussion. The star right fielder is in his prime, performing at levels that few players in history have reached, yet the absence of a championship has intensified scrutiny on everyone around him. The logic is simple. If the team is equipped to win and consistently falls short, the finger points beyond the players. That's where Boone and Cashman find themselves, navigating the impossible task of balancing public expectation, roster management, and playoff strategy. Every decision feels monumental, and fans aren't shy about voicing whether they approve. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. In what could go down as the most shocking trade of the decade, whispers around Major League Baseball suggest that the New York Yankees have pulled off a blockbuster move, reportedly acquiring Shohei OHTANI from the Los Angeles Dodgers in a deal that could shake the very foundations of the league. Sources close to team insiders hint at a massive exchange involving multiple players, top prospects, and potentially even future draft considerations, though the full details remain shrouded in secrecy. The buzz began late last night when fans on social media speculated after a cryptic post from the Yankees front office hinted at historic changes coming soon. Within hours, speculation exploded, and insiders hinted that OHTANI, The two-way sensation known for his unprecedented combination of power and pitching prowess might be heading to the Bronx. While no official confirmation has yet emerged, the rumor alone has set baseball circles alight, with analysts and commentators scrambling to understand the implications. If true, this would mark a seismic shift not only for the Yankees, but for the Dodgers as well. Los Angeles, a team that has consistently fielded powerhouse rosters, will be parting with one of the most marketable and dominant talents in the game. Meanwhile, New York would be positioning itself as an almost unstoppable force, combining OHTANI's dual-threat capabilities with a roster already brimming with elite talent. Fans are already imagining the possibilities, a lineup that could terrorize pitchers while OHTANI himself takes the mound to complement a deep pitching rotation. The timing of the rumor is also tantalizing. With the MLB season approaching and trade talks typically heating up, insiders speculate that the Yankees may have orchestrated a deal designed to send a statement to the entire league. Social media has been flooded with reactions ranging from sheer disbelief to cautious optimism. Baseball Twitter is alive with speculation. Which players were involved? How did the Dodgers justify the move? And most importantly, how will OHTANI adapt to the pressures of the Big Apple? While the deal remains unconfirmed, the mere possibility has sparked wild debate among fans and pundits alike. Could this be the moment that defines a new era for the Yankees? Or is it just another high-stakes rumor in a league where nothing is truly impossible? For now, the baseball world watches with bated breath, ready to witness a story that, if true, would be remembered for generations. One thing is certain. Wherever Shohei OHTANI lands, the echoes of this rumored trade are already reverberating far beyond the diamond. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.